Welcome to the CEO's Laundry, the first coaching podcast designed for leading CEOs. You see, CEOs face personal and professional issues just like you and me. But with a high-level position comes high-level questioning and duties. As a result, they can feel alone, misunderstood, confused, or overwhelmed. But these high-level responsibilities can also be a source of inspiration for them to look for ways to simplify their lives and optimize their results for the long run. That's why, instead of focusing on their achievements and success stories, each episode is a discussion focused on their current challenges and what lies ahead. I help them clear their minds. This way, they make room for fresh insight to refocus on themselves, give their daily lives a new boost, and strengthen their impact on the world. Be at the forefront of a podcast that reveals the reality of a human being behind the title of CEO. Hi, in this episode of the CEO's Laundry, I'm with Guillaume MOUBECHE, the CEO of Lemlist. We don't talk about his success stories and tips for success. We focus on the futures that he wants to build and the challenge that lies in the now. So what Guillaume put on the table today is that as he's scaling and trying to reach a 10x goal within the next 4 to 5 years, he has some difficulties to hire and find the right kind of people that will match his values and that will help him build the vision that he has in heart and in mind for his business. So we dig into the values of his companies, how we can put that into a job application or into his website so that people will filter themselves in a way like, yeah, I want to work with these people, or no, I don't want to work with these people. We also talk about his vision, how to be bolder and have a clear message on his vision. And we talk about the CEO's life and some stuff toward the end. It's a more open discussion than the pure coaching or consulting part that you will witness for 45 minutes. So enjoy. And if you're a CEO who have difficulties hiring right now, or in the process of changing your hiring process, well, this is like gold for you. Hi, Guillaume.
Hey, Kevin, what's up?
I'm good. And you?
I'm great.
Okay. Thank you for being here today for this podcast that is not like other podcasts, because today you're not here to talk about your success story, talk about all the things that you're used to talk about in other podcasts or interview. You usually focus on the past when people want to interview you. And today what I require of you and what I demand is that we look at the future. So we look at the unknown, what is possible to create. And when we look into the future, it means that we're not there yet. It means that we're in challenging moments. And especially when you as a CEO have ambition, a big goal, exponential goals, it can be challenging for you as a human being, as a CEO, as a leader, as a co-founder. So we are here to discuss the topic that is alive for you right now. Maybe you have many topics. I will I'll let you decide which one or which ones you want to put on the table today.
Yeah, I'm super excited to discuss about all of that.
Perfect. So what is the topic that you would like to talk about today?
I think like our biggest challenge right now is about scaling. So we just crossed an important milestone that we thought was impossible when we first started, meaning crossing 10 million in annual recurring revenue. We've always loved to keep the team as small as possible, as agile as possible, And now our next goal is to go to $100 million in annual recurring revenue. And I feel like the biggest challenge comes down to hiring. So we had to spend a bit of time with all the heads of each department. And what we realized is in the current team, we had to let go a few people because it didn't match with the vision and the next steps. And right now that we have kind of like let go a few people, we need to hire like a lot more. And I realize that it's the most challenging task for us right now for different reasons. One is the pool of candidates. So depending on the departments, it's more or less easy to find the right people. And then it's how do you make sure that the people who you hire are the one that are, you know, like the right fit for the long run. And because we're going to scale fast, my challenge is to be afraid not to be able to kind of like evaluate the right way the people we hire.
Okay. How is it a challenge for you personally?
It's a challenge simply because whenever, you know, like we have to take the tough decision and let go people, I know that it always comes down to my role, and I don't want this to happen again, or like at least the way we did it in the last months. So it's very tricky, and it's something that I want to make sure that everything is really well done from the start, so we don't make the same mistake, basically.
Okay. What's the mistake that has been made?
I feel like we didn't put our standards to the highest level, and we confused, I think, the company growth and people's growth, meaning that the company has always been hyper growing, and the fact that all the numbers are really amazing, everything is green, so it's pretty awesome, makes people think that, you know, it's that everyone in the team is at the right level. But what I realized is over time, because we had hired people who actually didn't have a great learning curve, were making always the same mistakes, etc., etc., it kind of felt discouraging for other team members. So our A players, I would say, started to get a bit annoyed by the behaviors of others, by the way, you know, like they were performing, etc., etc. And for me, it was like the worst part, you know, like when you have your A players in the team being kind of like demotivated, etc. It's something you really don't want. So the key challenge is really like, okay, how do we not make these mistakes of having people who actually are not going to be top performer, and being, because I feel like in the interview process, it's always super hard to notice whether or not someone can be a player. Obviously, you have like your gut feeling, etc., but being sure 100% is almost impossible. However, you are supposed to notice it in the first months, and that's something we kind of fail at doing just because we believe that people could change, could evolve, etc., etc., but in the end, they did not.
Okay. Yeah, I get that. I've worked in human resources before. So that is the challenge that is constant. And as you said, it cannot be perfect. As long as you're dealing with human beings, you know that there will be some chaos over time, and there will be a constant chaos running in the company. Okay, you're an interesting place. What is your role in the hiring process? Like, do you conduct interviews, 100% interviews, zero? Are you at the top or at the bottom of the process? Like, where are you?
I'm usually at the very end of the process. So when everyone in the team has met with the candidates, and the candidates has kind of like gone through each stages, I can basically like meet with that person. And what I'm checking is more like the culture fit. I ask when I see that the person is a bit like, I try to also ask, like questions that are a bit weird sometimes, just to see how people react. So it's more about like culture fit and seeing who the person is, and what's my gut feeling. I don't test nothing that is very specific for the position or anything. I don't do like technical tests or this type of thing. It's more about the culture.
Okay. Yeah, culture is important for you as a CEO, because it's what you said. You want to be sure that people are a good fit for what you want to create and the impact that you want to make. Before to go into that, you somehow say that it would be great to put the standard to a highest level. What would be a highest level in terms of standard for you, for your team, and for the culture?
So essentially, to me, the way I picture like employee in a startup, you have like 5 level, going like from level 1 being the lowest up to level 5. Level 1 is basically like someone, whenever they're going to face a problem, they're just going to see their managers and ask about like a solution. That's like the lowest level in a startup. That's typically the people you don't want to hire. And then you have up to level 5, which are the person who are going to find whenever they face a problem, they're going to find the solution for the problem, then understand why the problem happened, and on top of finding a solution, fixing it, then fixing also the root cause of the problem, so we make sure that it doesn't happen again. And then they will come to basically have a chat with their manager or me or whomever, and say, okay, here was a problem, here is the solution I've developed, here's what I've done so it doesn't happen again. And just so you know, like here's an update of all the things we did. So for me, like this is the highest standard, and it's very difficult to have like even in the lead management. I realized today that that we also don't have like this type of level right now. It's getting better over time, but it's very difficult for people, I think, to go to that level. And that's also because of us as co-founders, as we've been way too operational, I think, and way too hands-on for so many years. So for people, it has always been much easier to say, okay, I'm just going to ask G, like, what's up about this problem, or ask Vianney or Francois, and then we'll find a solution together. But right now it's really different, because as we're scaling, we have like more and more issues. As founders, we really need to not be as hands-on as we are, and that's also like another challenge.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, for the first few years, it was like you had to handle everything that was thrown to you, and now you're trying to be more of like the lead for change and the lead for creation. Okay, again, I get that. Like I'm used to say that there are like 4 levels of change. The first one is like people resist change. They don't want to change. It's good to have this kind of people in your company, like 10-20%, because they can give you indication about what you can improve. If they are not at like leading position in the company, it's okay. Then you have the one that comply. It's like, okay, we have to change. Well, I will try to take advantage of that. Then you have the people who are like committed to the change, like, oh, okay, great, we're changing. How can I help you? And then you have the 4th level. It's the people who create the change. It's like the people who are among you, I would say the executive part. They don't have to be executive. They can be at other levels, but they have the drive for change, and that's the people you want. Well, there is one thing right now. I could ask you more questions, but there are things that I know about your company and things that I know about you because I've been following you for a while now. So if you're okay, from my experience, I can tell you what I think could work for you to improve the standard that you're talking about?
Yeah, definitely. Let's do this.
Okay, perfect. The first thing is about the vision. When I'm on your website, I see two different visions. That's how I feel it. There is the 100 million in a year that you target, and there is the 1 million entrepreneurs that you want to help to build a profitable business. And I feel that there are two different targets. I've one question here is like, if you had to keep only one, which means that there is one that you cannot talk about, it's forbidden, and one that you have to talk about all the time, it's mandatory. Which one would you keep?
I would focus on entrepreneurs that we want to help.
Okay. So, in my opinion, as an expert in that topic, that should be highlighted more and more, because you're going to enroll people who are going to be committed to that. And one of the danger of having two different messages is that you can have people who resonate more with one than the other one. And then when you will push forward, for example, the financial goal, people who really want to help entrepreneurs, they will be like left alone, left down. And the people who really want, like on the other way, people who really want the money, it's like, yeah, it's so bold that I want to be part of it. When we're going to talk about the entrepreneurs and helping them build profitable business and etc., they won't resonate as much. Which means that your two visions are compatible, but there is definitely one that should be like bold. That's not what we aim to do. That's what we are doing right now. We are currently already working on helping 1 million entrepreneurs build a profitable business. Which means that when people are going to apply, that's what they will have in mind. One message. That's what I want you to do. If you join the company, basically we're going to talk about that every day. I try to exaggerate, but that's the mission. That's the mission of the CEO, of the co-founder, of the team, of the business.
It's a very relevant point. Yeah, no, I think you are right. I think it's definitely a valid point. I feel it's we've tried to kind of like link both, because as you mentioned, like the two can be correlated, but I agree that it's actually like my role as a CEO to have like one clear message regarding the mission, and we should focus on that one.
Yeah, it will help. It will definitely help. Like I like to take that example of Elon Musk. I don't like everything that Elon Musk is doing, but the mission of Elon Musk is simple. It's to bring people to Mars. That's it. That's the thing. We can say that he wants to save humanity by bringing people to Mars. That's his purpose. But if you look at his business, at the core of its business right now is just building rockets.
Yeah.
So he enrolled people into building rockets, but the people are walking into like going to Mars. That's the thing. So if you have that big mission, that big vision, my advice would be like to target that, to highlight that more and more, so that people know even before to apply, that's your goal. Ideally, it's like people get to know you because the mission of Lemlist is so bold that, wow, I know what those guys are doing. The second point is about values. Honestly, when I was in corporate a few years ago, like values were shit for me. It's like it means nothing. People have values, companies have values, but it doesn't mean anything. They're just like nice words, and that's it. And they put that on the website, and it's nice, and blah blah blah. But actually, that's probably one of the most important things that you can highlight during an interview, making sure that people are aligned with the value. And what most business don't necessarily do is to set two kind of values. What we see usually, it's that, well, we have values. Do you resonate with them or not? But I believe that what you have is the foundational value. It's like the value that you work on with probably your co-founders. That's the door to enter the company. It's like, hey, if you're like this, please join, please apply. You will be a great fit to working with us. But then there are another set of values that is probably even more important for the day-to-day of the business, is the organizational values. How we work together. A great example right now, I don't know if you like football.
Yeah, I can watch, or I can relate.
Okay, so I don't watch that much, but a good example right now is the PSG, because they have among the best players on earth. So that's basically one of the foundational value, being one of the best, or being the best. If you take Messi, for example, and if you take Mbappe, if you take Neymar, so you put them together, but it doesn't mean that together they play well. Which means that you need another set of values behind that. It's like when you're in the business, when you're in the company, when you're working with us, that's what we require of you as well. For example, if communication is important, you can create values around communication with your team. What does communication mean to you guys? What is a good communication, a bad communication? If we had to reach our goal of helping 1 million entrepreneurs in 1 year instead of 4, how should we communicate together? And then you, during the interview process, you can ask questions that basically assess the positioning of people who apply to join, if they resonate with that or not. Doesn't mean that it's going to work 100% of the time, but that's powerful. We can take an example. What is one of your value at the moment? Probably the most important one for you.
We have 3 values that are, I think, equally important for us. The first one is loyalty. So I think like this is something we don't see a lot of people being super loyal these days. And for us, I think it's been in our core DNA from the start. Like we've all been like super loyal, whether it's Vianney, François, and me, like with each other, with our family, with our friends, etc. And we expect the same from people working here, meaning that they should be loyal to each other. They can always rely on each other. They can always count on each other, and that's really, really important, not to have like people that will let you down. The second part is get shit done, meaning that we are all doers from day one, and we don't want people that are just here, to sit around, think about strategy, do business plan, and all this shit. We want people who can actually do things. And the last thing is continuous optimization, meaning that we know that we are far from being perfect, and that we always need to improve, to level up, learn new skills. And for that, we need to always ask ourselves the questions and be able to grow over time.
Okay. So let's take the first one, loyalty, because it's the first one you mentioned. What is something that happened during those first year of Lemlist that highlighted loyalty from an employee, and what is something that happened that highlighted the opposite?
So the first thing I think would be, for example, like our first employees who are now like heads off, like they grew with the company over time. I've always shown, like that we could count on them no matter what would happen, meaning that I never required people like to work during weekends or like to work crazy hours, etc., etc. But because, like they were passionate about the project, because they knew it was the early days, because they knew that we are a very small company, they were there and they were doing this from time to time. And this is not something, you can see from a regular employee. A lot of people would not understand that, because they would think like, yeah, they are forced to work during the weekend, etc., etc., which is not the case. It's just that sometimes, you need to do like the extra mile. You need to do over, like and you do it for a reason that is beyond just yourself and beyond just you doing your job. It's because you are like loyal to a company and you are passionate about what you do. And we've seen that with a few people, like I mean with many people, to be honest, in the company. And the second thing that where I would see that there is a lack of loyalty is we hired like someone who actually like kind of changed the way we were measuring like customer satisfaction directly in the support. And basically she realized that to improve the numbers, she could either be better or she could cheat. And essentially what she started to do is cheating, meaning that instead of sending customer satisfaction survey to our customers automatically, she realized that by snoozing the messaging on intercom, the customer satisfaction survey wouldn't be sent. So for every customer that was quite pissed off, she would snooze the message in order to get the best results possible and cheat the system, essentially. So don't send customer satisfaction survey to people who are pissed off. And to me, this is like really the opposite of loyalty, because you're not loyal to your colleagues whenever you're doing that. You're not loyal to the company. You're not loyal to, and to me, this is like it was definitely a red flag, and we discovered it like soon enough to take actions. But yeah, it's really like the opposite of what you want in your company.
Okay, I get that. It made me smile when you were talking, because the only thing that I wrote down is extra mile, and that's what you said, because it's exactly that. When you're loyal, then you're committed, and you're basically willing to do almost anything that can be done in order to be together and to keep growing together. So here are two things that I have in mind. Okay, can I tell you those things?
Yes, sure.
The first one is based on loyalty. I don't know if you do that already, but based on loyalty, when you have people in front of you for an interview, you can ask them examples from their life on loyalty. And also, example where maybe they haven't been loyal or not loyal enough, because we're not perfect. We make mistakes. And if you have someone in front of you who say like, yeah, I'm loyal, but that day I made a mistake, I haven't been loyal and I regret that. That's a good sign. That's a sign of like you have someone who is maybe wiser than average, and you know that they have a growth mindset and they will be helpful for your company. So I don't know if you already do something like that, like question based on values.
Yeah, that's something we try to do. The way I do it is I try never to mention the value itself. So I would not ask like when have you been loyal, etc., etc. But I would try to ask questions that I know could bring up loyalty or the opposite. So I would ask for example like to talk about their manager, the one they had in the past. And if you see someone that is starting like let's say they stay 2 years in a position, and whenever they discuss about their manager, they are really like bitching about him or her. Then, you know, like you might see some points where you can see a bit of lack of loyalty, just the way people talk in general about people. Whenever you ask about what went well, what went wrong, what are the things, and then you see how people basically like talk about past situations and whether or not they are pissed about something, or if they can turn a really negative experience into a learning. Then you can understand like I feel the type of people they are.
Okay. What's the risk for you to like talk about loyalty by using the word loyalty?
It's not really like there. I don't feel like there is a real risk. It's more just that I feel like, you know, whenever you ask people like, are you loyal? Like, would you consider yourself as loyal, etc., etc. If they have done their research, they know that it's part of our company, and I think it's very easy to fake it during an interview. Like, I mean, you know, if you're good, you can basically like apply for anything and be hired if you've done your research correctly, etc. So I like when the questions are a bit like going towards a direction without the person really noticing it, just so it's more like a casual conversation, and at least you know that they are sincere about what they're saying and not just saying things because they know that it's the right thing to say.
Okay. I think there is something interesting for you here. Standing strong for your values. I don't say that it's the right thing for you, but I believe so. Doing the opposite of what you're doing right now. Standing strong for your values. And letting people know that you stand strong for the values. Which means that the liars are not even going to apply. They won't dare applying. I saw that on the you are partnering with Welcome to the Jungle for jobs, and you have a category that is on values. Here you have a gameplay. Here is something that you could do that is interesting. On the 3 values that you just told me, you ask your employees to, your current employees, to give you an example of what they have done on that topic. For example, loyalty. What is something that you've done for the company, for us, that prove that you're loyal. As you say, like some people have worked during the weekend or maybe later at night. Those are like practical example. And this I would put as examples of loyalty. Like this is what our people are doing. They are loyal and they are committed to go to the extra mile. And this is what they are doing. Done. And here you give example that will either excite people who are resonating with that or scare the other ones. And the people who would tell you usually during an interview, like, yeah, I can work during the weekend if it's needed, blah, 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 but they don't mean it, because they will see how bold and strong you are in your values. They won't dare playing as much, because you will make them understand that those are not just words. Those are guidelines to live and to be in the company. And here you raise your standard.
It's a good idea. I like it.
Yeah, like you go bold. And on optimization, like the last one that you told me, like, this is what it means. And this is what we do in terms of optimization. Like it's basically the opposite of like you sit down and you do your work. And if you see something that could be improved, that could be improved. You don't want people, you don't want people like that. Or you don't want people complaining about something that could be improved, but they're doing nothing on it. So here you can put practical examples, because when you put practical examples, like there is no doubt about what you're talking about. It's like, it's clear. Okay, this is what the people are doing there. And then it will be a great filter in terms of standard. And then you just raise your chance of having the people that you truly want in your company. First, because you're so clear on the unique message, the unique direction that you're going. And second, you're so clear about what the kind of people that you want working with you. And another thing that you can do, I did that with some clients. It takes a bit of time. It takes preparation, reflection, but you can do that with your team. It's basically conundrum. I don't know if you know what is a conundrum.
No.
It's kind of like an enigma where there is no right or wrong answer, but you give a situation with 4 different examples, or 5 or 6 or 2, and people have to choose, and they have to tell you why they choose that. And
do you have an example that you could share?
For what you're doing right now, based on loyalty and going the extra mile, you could take a real situation of your business. I don't know what that can be, but we are currently working on a project. We have a deadline that is in 2 weeks. You have committed to do this and this and this, but you feel that you won't really have time to finish it in time. What do you do? And like first option, you decide to go to work this weekend. So you put some aspect of your life on hold, and you will take a few hours to finish a project. Second option, you delegate, for example. You try to find someone that can help you, etc., etc. You take some example, and then you will see it's not just about what they choose, but the explanation for what they choose. Because if you do a few questions like this, you will notice when people explain to you that there can be like patterns that you don't like in their explanations. It's like, it's not that it's right or wrong, but I don't like the way you think.
It's also a really good idea.
Yeah, because for example, if like you're responsible for your job and you do it 100%, I don't know if it's something for you at Lemlist, but that can be like a organizational value. It's like when you say you will do something, you do it. Then basically what you want to avoid is people who would try to delegate their work. You want to, it's not wrong. I mean, if you can find help, it's good. But if it's not aligned with your mindset and your attitude, then you want to avoid that.
Yeah, I think it's something like really interesting. So far, the way I've done it was more through kind of like cases or business cases where I ask people like to solve something, or I ask them like simple questions, and I ask them to choose between two things, and I ask them to explain why, or I ask them like a specific enigma, and they have to figure out like a solution. And the idea is just there is no right or wrong answer. But for example, it could be I don't know, something like okay, let's say that you are like you have one competitor, and you each have like 50% of the market share through bottled water selling in Kenya. How much are you making each year, and why? And then that's it, and then the people are going to say, okay, then population of Kenya is about like X millions. Then we're going to have like only 20% of the population actually buy water bottle, and etc, etc, etc. And then like you see how they react, what do they do, and what is the number they end up with, and this is quite interesting.
Yeah, because you can see how they think.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same process what I just talked about, but based on the values and highlighting their behavior and attitude, that can show you if it's a good fit or not a good fit for the company. What's one of your takeaways right now?
I think I think I like the fact to first doing more conundrums. I think it's something interesting, just because like the way I was doing it was out of some usually like random things, or just linked to how people can think, and the way they express themselves, because communication, I think, is key. But overall, I like the fact that whenever you tie this to your values, it's actually a great way to make sure that you are aligned or not with the people who you hire. I also liked the fact about being like being bold on the values directly, like being specific, because it's true that most values don't mean the same thing for people. Because, for example, loyalty to me is something that's it makes it, for me, it means that you can count on each other, and you should help each other out, and you should always be there for each other. But for others, loyalty means maybe something totally different. So the fact that we need to add like more specific things about what does that mean, being loyal, and how does it translate on a day-to-day basis, I think this is really, really interesting. And the final part is is be more specific about the mission, and in order to have only like one tagline. And I know that helping 1 million entrepreneurs building like a profitable business is something powerful, and it's specific enough so people can relate. I'm wondering if this is like if this is simple enough, because like I like whenever you mentioned Elon Musk, actually it was a kind of like a key take, like not a key takeaways, but something that's I think like resonate a bit with me. It's like Elon Musk is doing some really complex shit in every single of his company, but if you look at his mission, like bringing people to Mars, this is fucking simple. Like a 5-year-old could understand. And our mission, which is helping 1 million entrepreneurs building a profitable business, first you're gonna have people thinking like, okay, what does mean profitable exactly? Okay, what what is like an entrepreneur? What is and all these things, like you can't. I mean, for some people, like an entrepreneur means something, others something else. So it's interesting to see like how exactly can you simplify your mission to make it like understandable by a 5-year-old anywhere in the world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. But I think for Elon Musk, he's kind of lucky because it's so out of the box that simple words are you like he doesn't need anything. Like we go to Mars, that's it. It's okay. We understand what he's going to do, because if you want to go to Mars, then you have to build rockets. So it's like he's lucky for what he's trying to build with the SpaceX. All right, we could go on because it's very interesting, and there are a lot of spaces for conversation on that topic as well. But I will wrap it up for today. And on the topic of high standard for hiring, because it's what you started with today. But we could have another episode on team and how to you position yourself with your team as you're going for an exponential goal. Right now, it will obviously require of you another attitude and another way of being with them. If ever you want to, it will be a pleasure.
Definitely.
Yeah, I just want to finish by saying that you have a tagline is do the things that you shouldn't do. And you said that you didn't use that word, but you said that you shouldn't mention too much about the values and try to find different ways to talk about them. So that's a thing that you shouldn't do. And being bolder in that perspective will definitely help you for having that magnetism and repelling the people that you don't want and attracting the people that you want with you in your team.
I agree. It was a really good point and really good chat as well.
Okay, perfect. I would like to send you a book. There is a book that I think could help you. If you can give me the business address of the new
Of the new office,
locals and new office, yeah, for Lemlist, I would like to gift you a book that could help you definitely for where you are right now.
What's the name, or?
The Buddha and the Badass.
Ah, nice. I like it. I like the name. I haven't read it, but I've sent it to the chats.
Okay, perfect. I will send you that book. It's a great book to it's a mix between like hustle and spirituality for business leaders, and there are a lot of great practical insight in it, and especially the first chapter is all on values, and it will definitely help you if you find some time to read it.
I like it.
Perfect. Thank you. I give you the opportunity to say one last word if you want.
Yeah, no, to be honest, it was quite unexpected. I think it's very different from any podcast that I've done in the past. So congrats on that, because there are like millions of podcasts, and it's difficult to find like a different format. So I think it's a good job on the format, and also like good tips overall. I felt like yeah, I have like a bit more questions that when I came in, but it's a good and relevant question. So that's cool. That was really good.